Welcome back to From the Pages of Inside Wrestling, the April 1977 issue. And this is one of those magazines where the moment you open it, you're not being eased in, you're stepping into something that's already in motion, already loud, already opinionated, and it's coming straight from the readers because this issue leans heavily on its letters section and not in a passive way, not as filler tucked in between features, but as a full on conversation that stretches across multiple pages. And it reads like a room full of fans arguing their points, pushing back, defending positions, and treating professional wrestling with the seriousness that defines the entire tone of the issue from the first page to the last. One of the biggest debates right out of the gate is about banning wrestling holds, and you can feel how strongly the readers come down on this because the argument isn't cautious, it's firm, it's confident, and it's repeated in different ways by different voices. That if you start banning holds like the pile driver, the sleeper, or the figure four leg lock, you're not protecting wrestling, you're weakening it. And the reasoning behind that is consistent. A professional wrestler should know how to defend themselves at all times. They should know how to counter, how to escape, how to survive. And if they can't, then that's a failure on their part, not a reason to remove the move from the sport. And that idea keeps coming back, that wrestling is built on skill and preparation, not restrictions. And there's even an insistence that these so-called dangerous holds, when applied properly, are no more dangerous than anything else happening in the ring, which tells you how these fans are thinking. They're not looking at this from the outside. They're looking at it like insiders, like people who understand the mechanics and expect the wrestlers to understand them too. As the letters continue, the conversation widens, and now you start seeing reactions to predictions and performances, and Greg Gagne becomes a focal point, not because of charisma or flash, but because of his approach, his discipline, his ring awareness, and there's a steady belief from multiple readers that he has the tools to become a champion, that he represents a certain kind of wrestler who does things the right way, and that phrase, doing it the right way, earning it, proving it, keeps surfacing throughout the issue in different contexts, because right after that, the tone shifts sharply when the discussion turns to Terry Funk, the reigning NWA World Champion, and instead of praise, what you get is criticism, direct and unapologetic, questioning his attitude, questioning his behavior, questioning whether he truly represents what a champion should be. And some readers go as far as saying they cannot respect him in that role, which is a powerful statement because it shows that holding the title is not enough, not in the eyes of this audience. There is an expectation attached to that championship, and if it's not being met, the fans are going to say so. That same scrutiny carries over into the tag team division, where readers are debating the legitimacy of the champions, pointing to controversy and how the titles were won, pointing to finishes that weren't clear or decisive, and refusing to just accept the result because it's official. And again, it comes back to that same thread that runs through everything in this issue. Fairness matters, clarity matters, legitimacy matters. And you can feel how important that is to the people writing in, because they're not just reacting, they're analyzing, they're questioning, they're holding the product to a standard. There's also a different kind of voice that comes through in the letters when the focus shifts to Blackjack Lanza, where a reader reflects on an earlier interview and expresses a sense of respect, acknowledging the honesty and the toll that wrestling takes on a person. And that moment adds another layer to the issue, because now it's not just about wins and losses or right and wrong. It's about the people involved, the lives behind the matches, and it gives the magazine a sense of depth that balances out all the debate and criticism. When the editorial voice steps in, it doesn't calm things down. It continues that same tone, and now you've got the magazine itself becoming part of the conversation, talking about stepping into the role of a referee, acknowledging that it comes with risk, especially when dealing with rule breakers. And that idea of rule breakers being a constant problem is everywhere in this issue. It's not treated lightly. It's not presented as entertainment. It's framed as something that threatens the integrity of wrestling. And that framing carries into one of the standout features, a comparison between Bruno Sammartino in 1963 and Bruno Sammartino in 1977, where the discussion centers on experience, on what a wrestler gains over time, and the conclusion leans toward the older Bruno, the one who has been through more, learned more, adapted more, and it fits perfectly with everything else being said because, once again, the emphasis is on knowledge, awareness, and understanding. Then the issue moves into its primary storyline, and the tone becomes more focused, more personal, as the situation involving Bobby Heenan, Ray Stevens, and Nick Bockwinkel unfolds. And it's presented as a serious break, not a minor disagreement. Heenan is clearly furious, clearly done. And he makes it known that Stevens is out, completely cut off. And then he turns to Bockwinkel, expecting action, expecting him to follow through. And Bockwinkel is positioned as the one who will carry that out, calm, composed, and ready. And the way this is written gives it weight. It feels like something important has shifted, something that will have consequences moving forward. And as you continue through the magazine, the presence of advertisements becomes more noticeable, not because they interrupt the experience, but because they are part of it, appearing multiple times, reinforcing the idea that this is more than just a single issue. There are full-page ads for back issues, yearbooks, and annuals covering several years, all available for $1 each, with very clear instructions on how to order, fill out the form, send it in. Don't send coins, don't use old forms, and the repetition of these ads gives them a rhythm, almost like a reminder that this is something you can build, something you can collect, something you can stay connected to over time. Alongside those ads is another offering, a separate publication available for $2 per copy, with a note about mature material, and it sits within the same pages, part of the same world, showing that there's a broader landscape of content surrounding wrestling, different angles, different audiences, all existing together, and it adds to the texture of the issue, giving you a sense of how wide its space really is. By the time you reach the later pages, the structure of the issue has fully revealed itself. Letters driving the conversation, editorial reinforcing the themes, features adding depth, ads maintaining that connection to the reader, and everything working together to present wrestling as something that matters, something that should be earned, something that should make sense, and that consistency is what stands out. There's no rush, no jumping around, no shifting tone. It stays focused, it stays grounded, and it lets the reader sit in that world for the entire experience. See you next time. Farewell from the Empire State.